Hello everyone, Cyberpunk is back with another video, and I'm going to compare all the cars and bikes in Cyberpunk 2077 game. I'm going to give them a score based on their exterior and interior quality, their acceleration, top speed, their first-person view, driving quality, and their fun factor. I'm going to throw one bonus point for outstanding features. Today I'm gonna start with the bottom half of vehicles that you can purchase in Cyberpunk 2077. I am opening this list with a Thorton Galena G240, the cheapest and the worst car in the game. There is really nothing appealing about this car, not from the outside and not from the inside. It gets 2 points for exterior and interior quality. Quite predictably, the acceleration is also not so good. Accelerating in roughly 13.7 seconds, it gets 7 points. With a top speed of only 121 miles per hour, it gets 5 points. The first-person view is decent, so it gets a 7. The driving is not so bad also, and it gets 7 points. There is no fun and coolness in this car, so it gets a 2. Which brings the total score to 25. For €16,000 you can get Mahir Supron FS3, which kinda looks like a minivan that you should never get into. With the same minimalistic exterior and interior, it gets a 2 points. With really slow acceleration, in about 12 seconds, it gets 7 points. And for the top speed of 138, it gets 6 points. The first-person view is decent, so it gets a 7. The driving isn't bad at all, so it gets also a 7. There's really not much fun in this car, so it gets a 2. But I do like the solar panels on the rooftop. For this bonus feature it gets plus 1 point, which brings the total to 27. Villefort Cortes V340F Freight will cost you €19,000 and it looks more like a surveillance van, judging by those antennas on the sides. The interior is pretty minimalistic as well, but it gets total 4 points for exterior and interior quality. Accelerating in roughly 15.9 seconds, it is the slowest accelerating vehicle in the game, and it takes 6 points for that. Top speed is 125, and a 6 points. Driving inside is decent, so it gets a 6 points. Driving quality is also good, so it gets a 7. However, there is really nothing cool about this vehicle, so it gets a 4, which brings the total to 29. Archer Hella ECD i360. Now that's the name you don't want to remember. This is your stock car that you receive at the beginning of chapter 2 of the game, and it joins the list of nothing special on the outside and really nothing much on the inside. for which it takes home 3 points. With the acceleration of about 11.4 seconds, it gets 8 points. With a top speed of 138, it gets 6 points. Fairly good visibility, driving inside, so it gets a 7. Pretty good controls too, so it gets 6. But it only gets 4 for fun or cool factor, which makes a total of 29. Archer Quartz ECT2R660 is wrapping up the top 5 worst cars in the game, with the same minimalistic looks on the outside and the same minimalistic inside, for which it takes home 4 points. With a fairly speedy acceleration, it gets 9 points. With a top speed of 162, it gets 7. Decent view from the inside, so it gets a 6 points. Driving is about 5. And there is only 4 points for fun and cool factor, which brings total to 31. Hey, finally something different. Nothing says I don't care like Makigai Maimai P126, which for only 14,000 can be yours. Although it's not really much to look at, and it's definitely gonna be a death trap in case of a car accident. For its exterior and interior quality, it gets 3 points. Acceleration in roughly 12 seconds, which gives it 7 points. With a top speed of about 136, it gets 6 points. However, it gets decent visibility inside, so it gets a 7. Control while driving gives us at 6 points. The fun factor, I give it a 7, just because you just show that you don't care. And for Japanese voice that greets you when you enter and leave in the car, it gets 1 additional point, which brings the total to 32. Thorton Mackinaw MLT1 is an incredibly expensive truck from 2077. I'm not sure why is it so expensive, as it looks like a regular truck from present days. It has nothing special on the outside, and a good but not great quality on the inside, for which it takes 5 points. With an acceleration of about 10.1 seconds, it gets 8 points. The top speed is about 143, and it gets it 6 points. This car has pretty good visibility, driving from the inside, for which it takes 7 points. And it has pretty decent controls. 7 points for that. There is, however, nothing really fun and cool about this car, so it takes only 5 points, which brings total to 33. Thorton Galena Gecko is a high-tech car that will cost you only €21,000. Looks like a pretty dusty car from the outside, with pretty high-tech and minimalistic looks on the inside. for which it gets 4 points. However, it is pretty fast on acceleration, getting to 100 in only 4.6 seconds, for which it gets 9 points. With a top speed of 179, it gets 8 points. Pretty decent visibility, 7 points for that. However, for driving control, I give it only 4. It's pretty cool looking, pretty interesting car. 6 points for the fun factor, and I give it 1 extra point for the smart glass that turns black, which brings total to 34 points. Thorton Colby C125 is an average looking 3-door hatchback with really no distinctive features at all. For the exterior and interior quality, it gets 5 points. Accelerating in roughly 10.4 seconds, it gets 8 points. Top speed 138, 6 points for that. Pretty decent visibility, however, narrow windshield gets it 6 points. Pretty good controls, 8 points for that. And only 5 points for fun and cool factor. Total score 34. Thorton Colby CX410 Butte is really nothing to say about, except for this is some sort of a hybrid of a SUV 2-door small truck thingy. Looks pretty decent, nothing special. Gets 6 points for interior and exterior quality. Accelerating in roughly 12.4 seconds, it gets 7 points for that. Its top speed is about 135, for which it gets 6 points. And again, with a small and narrow windshield, it gets 6 points for first-person view. Driving controls are good, but not so great. It gets 7 points for that. And it gets 6 points for fun factor, which brings total to 34. Chevillon Emperor 620 Ragnar is an awesome looking executive SUV. Looks pretty awesome with all these rails and its red-black color. The build quality is amazing. It looks pretty good outside and pretty awesome inside, and it gets 8 points for that. Its acceleration to 100 is about 13.2 seconds, for which it gets 7 points. Unfortunately, its top speed is only 123, so it gets only 5 for that. Gets 6 points for pretty decent view, although again, its windshield window is pretty narrow. and a 6 points for driving. Has good controls, but really just because it's very slow. The fan factor, I give it 6, which brings total to 34. Chevillon Thrax 388 Jefferson is the first business class sedan in our list. It has a pretty slick look, and all those passenger door seats that open backwards looks pretty awesome. Reminds me of modern day Rolls-Royce. Business interior and leather stitching gives it total 6 for interior and exterior quality. With acceleration of about 12.1 seconds, it gets a 7. The top speed is about 153, so it gets 7. The windshield is a little narrow, so it gets 6 for first-person view. The control while driving is decent, so it gets 6. For fun and cool factor, I give it a 6. But it gets 1 extra point for those backwards opening doors, which brings total to 35. Villefort Cortes V5000 Valor looks like kind of average taxi cab car, with really no special features. Looks awesome if you like pink, but it gets only 6 for interior and exterior quality. However, its acceleration isn't that bad. Getting to 100 in about 9.2 seconds gets it 8 points. With its total speed of 153, it gets 7 points. It gets 6 points for pretty decent view from the inside. Driving quality gets it 7 points. This car isn't anything special, so it gets 5 points for fun and cool factor. And the total, 35 points. Thorton Colby Little Mule is a small nomad car. Looks pretty simple, like the rest of them. But I like the amount of technology inside. Smart glass and all the rest of cool tech gets it 7 points for interior and exterior quality. Though it's pretty slow to accelerate, it gets 12 seconds to get to 100, for which it gets 7 points. Being a slow car, with a top speed of about 138, gets only 6 points for that. This car has a pretty poor visibility driving from the inside, so I give it only 5 points. The driving controls also not so bad, but not so good either, 6 points. Though it looks pretty good and the mount tech inside, I give it 7 points for the fun and cool factor. And a 1 bonus points for the smart glass that can turn black, which gets it to a 35 points total. This concludes the bottom half of Cyberpunk 2077 vehicles. I hope you liked it. I am planning to do the next part and release it in the following week. Please like and subscribe. This is Cyberpunk signing off. Come back for more.